Join us, Alex
and Colleen,
self-proclaimed fake it till you make it experts, as we navigate the highs and lows of being a woman and how the pressure and overwhelm of trying to do it all often leads to feeling like an imposter in our own lives. In our first episode of 2025, Colleen and I chat about the relationship between New Year's resolutions and imposter syndrome, topped off with a little sprinkle of ADHD.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Colleen.
Welcome back. It's a new year.
I know, we had an extended break.
Extended. I don't think we meant it to be as extended as it ended up being.
Well, we did have a little bit of snow interruption as well, but...
We kind of stopped as I think we left off. I was leaving for Germany. So we really front-loaded the season where I was going away. And then I was away, and then we got back, and it was into Christmas, really. And here we are.
We are.
So,
New Year.
New Year, and we're going to talk about resolutions.
Ah, yes. Imposter syndrome and New Year's resolutions.
Yes. Do imposters make resolutions is the question.
I mean, they may make them. Whether they hold them is the
and
what not holding them means when you have imposter syndrome versus when you don't.
So I'm going to start the year by saying that I have. Oh my gosh, it's the end of January, and I'm going to pretend that the new year starts February 1st because January was kind of a bust for me, and I don't know where in there, and I know there's a lot in there with ADHD and imposter syndrome. Like I just couldn't get out of my own way to get the year started.
Well, I think there's a lot of self-doubt that just comes from the new year, new whatever rhetoric, you know, having to be somebody better than you were the year before, or having to reach for new heights, or having to have new goals, or, you know, get in better shape, or any number of things that the pressures that we put on ourselves and that society kind of puts out there for a new year. You're kind of setting yourself up to fail in a lot of ways.
You are in so many different ways. And for me, I have always started my year with a word of the year. I've done this for years. So this year I was like, I got to get a word, and I kind of can't get my year started till I get my word going. I'm like, maybe it'll be build. I'm like, because I'm trying to rebuild. My word's going to be build. And I'm like, no, I don't want to rebuild. I'm tired of the pivot. I'm tired of repivoting. And then I'm like, I'm tired. Maybe my word will be tired. I'm like, no, my word can't be tired because I have to work. And then it's like, because I'm building. And it's like, for fuck's sake.
Well, let me ask you this.
Let's not do a word of the year and move on.
How long in previous years did you actually think of and act on the word that you chose?
Well, a fair bit, because where I was a blogger, I would pick the word and then every few months go back. But so no matter what word you pick, let me be perfectly honest, no matter what word you pick, you can kind of work around. Like if I picked the word happy, then it's like I can, 3 months later talk about, yes, I have been happy because of these things. And then 3 months later, I've been unhappy because of these things. Like you can always work around the word and make the word work to whatever you want it to mean. So the word is useless.
Well, that was the point I was trying to get to.
I know. The word is useless. So basically, I think my word of the year right now is tired. I'm tired.
Fair. I would imagine a lot of people could relate to that word.
Right.
I think I picked a word one year when everybody was doing it, but normally I don't really do that. Not a huge resolutions person. Not really a huge goal-setting person.
Well, you don't set 5 and 10 year goals. Like I used to always set 5 and 10 year goals. Mind you, I haven't done that in years.
I don't really like to fail. So if I don't set it's like in stone goals or expectations, then I can't really fail.
Right. Which is why I stopped with resolutions, because I failed out on them too fast. And so I thought, I'll just pick these words. But now apparently I've failed out on the words.
Words are the new resolutions. Like, come on.
Right.
It's still indicating that you need to change or work towards something different than current.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about imposter syndrome and resolutions, because there's something called the imposter cycle that I came upon. And that's when something happens that triggers feelings of self-doubt. And then you start going through the over-preparing and or the complete procrastination. And even when you get to a point or realize success in whatever form that is, it doesn't feel like it. So then you keep going in that spiral. And then there's certain times of year or certain things in your life that may trigger that cycle. And I think for a lot of people, the beginning of a new year is a huge imposter cycle start, because there's all this messaging about what we need to do, or maybe it's even if you're in business, then you're doing your financial planning and your goal planning and all the things that you want to accomplish in that year, which can be very, very triggering. You feel like you have to start, working away at everything and get it into place immediately. Or the opposite, which I think is sort of what you've been feeling, is like, okay, I'm just going to put my head in the sand for this month.
Right. So
and wait
this
for it to all
imposter
blow
cycle
over.
that you're calling an imposter cycle, I could just basically call it January.
And I think a lot of people could.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think even at the beginning, I got to it eventually, but that first week back into the office, I found really challenging this year, more challenging than other years. And I think it's just because I didn't really know where to start. I knew I had some things I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure how to get on there. And I had taken some time off, and it just wasn't really ready, I think, to go back. So it was a bit of a slower start as well. But I think it's interesting to be able to identify those cycles and prepare for them. Because maybe January isn't the time that you do all your goal planning and setting things for the year. Maybe January is a slow start, and you just give yourself that time because you know it's going to trigger this whole cycle.
True.
That then could take weeks or months to get out of.
True, because because what's happening to me is I'm getting down on myself and I'm feeling bad about I'm like, I gotta get moving. I got to get this going. I got to get these goals set. But instead, I'm kind of feeling resentful and annoyed and, like I said, tired. But I'm just trying to make it all go away. I just...
Well, it becomes
Yeah.
a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point.
Right. Yeah. And here I am. So moving into February, what are some ways to combat through some of this imposter cycle sort of stuff? And how do we, as people with ADHD and imposter syndrome, set your goals or set your intentions, or should you even do that?
I think one of the best things to do is to start the year by listing everything that you accomplished the year before.
Which
I think should be kind of a quarterly practice anyway to keep us, we can get so down on the things that we didn't get to or the things that didn't go quite as planned. But if we start actually putting into practice where we're taking time to go through everything that did go the way we wanted it to or exceeded our expectations, or even the surprise things that happened that were wins for us, taking the time to note those and think about them and write them down and visually see them is a really great way to start your thought process, to take your mind out of everything that you're doing wrong or things that maybe you didn't get to, and then switch it to, okay, well, you know what? I did this, this, and this, and that's worth something. It's the same thing that we say about having the hooray folder or the, what did I call this box rocks, my shoebox of things that I have done or things that have special meaning to me that bring me back to a certain place. And I think having those things and being able to go back to them and tangibly look at them and feel them and remember those things and why they're important to you, it can snap you out of a funk really fast.
Serving up hot brews, refreshing cold drinks, lots of fresh baked goodies, and delicious lunch options. Visit the Mellow Mug in the heart of Larry Utech for dine-in, takeout, or drive-through service. Their spacious cafe offers a casual and inviting vibe that's perfect for everything from enjoying a good book, hanging with friends, or meeting a colleague. The Mellow Mug is your neighborhood spot for great coffee and delicious eats and sweets. I think I do need to reopen that hooray folder. And the box that rocks, listen,
Yes.
You did. So Alex did this 30-day reset this year. A number of people joined. And I did. You talked about, because I do have a hooray folder of all kinds of digital type things in this hooray folder. People have sent me messages or whatnot. But when you actually said, take a box and put those special things in a box, I did. And it's quite a lovely little box of sweet little paraphernalia that means something to me of why I'm in business. Not just a Mother's Day card, let's say, but it's a thank you note that somebody had sent me in business. Like put that in there. The Mother's Day cards are in a different box. Those are special memories as well. But this box is just about business type things, your certificate of business or just put that stuff in a box. And it's really nice. I like that.
Yeah, it's different from a memory box, which is
Yeah.
sort of where you keep trinkets and different things that have meaning to you. It's more professional achievements
Yeah.
or motivators. I like to
Motivators.
keep things in
Yeah.
there that are the reason why I do things. Like I have my Bruce Springsteen cassette tapes in there because I want to be able to travel and see him in concert.
Right.
And
But
those things have meaning to me and they're motivators for me.
yeah, like why, and I mean, I've got a picture of my granddaughter in there because I want to travel more to Germany, and that's why I'm working to be able to spend time with my kids and do these things. So I do like that I've put that, you challenged me to put that box together. Yeah.
Good. I'm
Yeah.
glad. I'm
Yeah,
glad it's
I think
working.
I need to open it up and take a good look at everything in there.
Yeah, it's one thing to make the collection.
Right.
It's another thing to then use the collection when you're having those moments of self-doubt.
Right.
So I keep mine right in my office if I need it.
Does January, because I am very triggered this January, more than other Januaries, I'm triggered this January. As much as I look back and realize last January I was in a far worse place than I've achieved a lot in the year. So I should be very proud of myself, but I'm still a little stuck. Does January trigger you like that, or has it?
I mean, I dislike this time of year anyway, but I start disliking this time of year probably at the mid to end November mark. And it doesn't really lift until June.
She's got a whole
It
season.
starts to get better in March because then I know that we're kind of getting through it. So January in
Yours
itself,
is around weather then, is it?
yeah, weather
Yeah.
and light.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm freezing all the time and more freezing during these months. So I just find everything is harder. You have to wear more layers. You have to, have the different footwear. You have to have 40,000 jackets. It's just getting out of the house is so annoying. And yeah, I just don't like it. So I wouldn't say that January in itself is super triggering for me. But again, I don't make resolutions. I don't do any of my year planning during that time. I try really hard in the weeks leading up to vacation to set myself up for a slow start because I know that I'll get overwhelmed because I'm way more apt to go to the overcompensating when I get stressed out and just try to plan out everything immediately. And then that also is just spiral into
Sure.
nothing good. So I know myself enough now to know what, that I need that slower start. So it doesn't trigger me as much anymore.
I think for me, January is, I love the holidays. And I don't know if this year I'm a little bit more triggered because there's this grandbaby involved in there and I want to be in Germany, not in Halifax right now. So I don't know if that's part of it, but this 2025 is not starting well for me.
Well, I mean, to be pretty frank, 2025 is not starting well for the fucking world.
Right.
So if you layer on everything that's going on in the U.S., but
Yeah,
with very,
but it's
very
trickling
global
here
impacts,
too. Yes.
and
Yeah.
Canada also in the threat of probably heading in similar directions. There's a lot going on that make it hard to focus on more trivial things like getting your January together when
Right.
you're worried about the state of the world
Right.
and what it's going to be like.
And I remember, I've spoken to my counselor before about how I can get tripped up in the media and watching everything that's going on in the media and I kind of got away from that, but I'm finding this January there's a lot going on. And I'm going down rabbit holes again, and I'm watching what's going on, and I'm wearing it, I'm feeling it, and maybe that is part of it too. Yeah, maybe picking a word of the month means dick all when you're worrying about a guy with an orange face that's causing some trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think one of the things that can help with that are boundaries, which is the hill that I repeatedly
you will
die
on that hill. Yeah.
But boundaries are just really help with that because that's even comes down to I'm not going to follow these accounts. I'm not going to if something comes up in my feed that makes me feel a certain kind of way, I'm not going to engage with it. In fact, I'm going to get it off my screen as quick as possible so that I'm not fed more of that.
Yeah.
Perhaps I'm even going to block those accounts. I'm not going to let myself get this far in this spiral. I'm going to look at my wins. I'm going to take myself out of the situation. I'm going to focus on something else that I know that I can achieve in the short term. So that's another thing too, is setting small, achievable goals for January that are not going to be overwhelming and that are not going to take a ton of mental energy. So even things like, hey, I'm going to try to clean out my inbox throughout January. Every day I'm going to take half hour to 45 minutes and just like clean up some stuff. Or I'm going to try to organize my photo app, which for me is actually like very overwhelming. That's not a great suggestion for anyone that works in social media or marketing. But that's those things that you can kind of pick away at a little bit that make you feel good about it, because it's going to help your efficiency. It's going to help you feel more organized. But it's not something that you're going to need to use a ton of brain power to do.
Some of those admin tasks rather than the big tasks.
Unless admin tasks are really stressful to you. And then maybe there's something else like, I'm going to reorganize my kitchen cabinets so that I can find things easily, so that I can get meals together quickly, and that's going to help my day be more efficient. Whatever it is, I always just like to think about moving the dial a little bit in the right direction and getting feeling successful because of that.
Yeah. And I think, again, it's that idea of setting these timelines. Like I was like, okay, by January, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden it was like, it's not working. What am I doing? And then it's like, wait now, move the timeline. This is my made up timeline. Move it. I work for myself. Move the timeline, So
no one understands, like no one knows those expectations except for you.
Yeah.
Even if you have put it out there to people that you have a certain timeline that you're working on, no one's going to fucking remember what you said or care.
No.
Honestly. And actually, there'd probably be more relatable if you said, you know what, I said I was going to do this by this time, but it didn't happen because life.
Right.
Like everyone can relate to that.
Yeah.
So.
Looking to relax and rejuvenate? Treat yourself at Bello Day Spa. Located in the heart of Bedford West, from luxurious facials and brow services to soothing massages, waxing, and perfect manis, pedis, their team has you covered. Bello Day Spa isn't just a place for pampering. Their friendly staff will help you find the perfect skincare products from their wide selection of premium lines. Ready to refresh your routine? Book your appointment today and discover why Bello Day Spa is your neighborhood go-to spot for relaxation and self-care. Bello Day Spa, your local relaxation retreat. Yeah, I am finding that my imposter stuff is bearing its ugly head right now. And I'm even, I work with women all the time in social media, and I tell them all about, being confident on camera and doing all these things. And right now it's troublesome for me, and this is, it's been a while since I've been in this cycle or whatever. It's been a while since I've been here. So,
well, I think there's a lot of people who are probably in that imposter cycle as well. And that's why you're seeing a lot more people ramped up on social media and a lot more people, a lot more content out there that is very aggressive and very hustle culture oriented. And that can also create a spiral. Like, I need to be doing this. I need to be saying that. I need to be out there more, because we're just feeding off of other people's cycles.
I think I am, because I'm like, everybody's doing something. I need to be doing something.
It's sort of like, when you hang out with people and you can kind of get on the same menstrual cycle.
Right.
Like, everybody's on the same imposter cycle. It's just feeding each other. So I think even acknowledging that this is a time of kind of overcompensating and hustle, and taking a step back from that. But that said, if you have major goals that you're working towards, and you do need to get started in January to reach them, then breaking those goals down into very easy, achievable, measurable steps.
Manageable chunks. Yeah.
Even taking that time to take your big goal and chunk it into little ones can be you can feel like that's a success measure too. I like to do that. I create a lot of outlines. If I have a big project I feel overwhelming, I'll create the outline one day. And then the next day I'll start kind of working through the first part of it. And then I'll even just like schedule the rest of them. And even knowing that they're in my schedule and knowing that I have them in there in the right timeline gives me some relief.
Yeah.
It's not overpowering. It's not taking over my brain like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to do that, because it's all written down. It's all timed out. Whether I hit each of those really doesn't matter at that time. It's just getting them out of my brain and into something else so that I can stop worrying about it. And I feel like I have taken control of the situation.
And I mean, there are apps and planners and stuff to help you. There are tools to help you with some of that stuff as well. I use my paper planner.
Same.
I am diehard paper planner person.
I need to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to see it as well. I mean, I'm also a diehard Metricool person for scheduling social media. But to me, I love seeing social media laid out that way as well. But for my actual own planning, yeah, it's all in the planner. Yeah.
Something else too that can be beneficial in a new year is to decide on a new skill that you want to learn. I knew somebody who would pick something each year and they would strive towards learning that new skill.
Really?
Yeah, and that instead of like a word or a resolution, it would be, this is a skill that I want to master by the end of the year.
Okay, so we did talk about this because Christmas time, you've been crocheting like a crazy woman all 2024. You've crocheted some phenomenal stuff for the last 3 months of it, and so has my daughter. So I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to crochet. I've bought myself wool and I've bought myself a crochet hook. That's it. That's what I've done. And I said this 6 weeks ago, and every day I look at that hunk of wool and the crochet hook, and I've got YouTube videos that I can follow, but do you think I can? I still can't get it happening.
But you started. You bought the
tools. That's where I am.
That's the thing about having loose timelines for these things, especially a skill, if it's not integral to, something you need to do. If it's a fun skill that you're trying to learn, there are no timelines.
Right.
Like there's nothing, no one's waiting for your project to be done. You're not taking requests for items yet, are you?
No, nothing.
I made the mistake of making a lot of my gifts crochet projects, and then that was horrific.
Megan. Yeah.
Because then I was on a timeline and it became more of a job. So there is the risk of that too if you are an overachiever. But picking a new skill to learn about, you can break that down. Like maybe January is just picking the skill.
Yeah. Right.
And then, or just researching where, if that skill is available in your city or online, or how you're going to approach it. And then maybe the next month is about picking up the tools that you need for it, or taking tutorials, or whatever it is. There's so many different ways you can kind of expand that out, still feel like you're working towards something without making yourself start off so overwhelmed about it.
I like that. I think that's great. So by the end of 2025, I will have crocheted something.
Okay.
Might just be a bookmark, but I will have crocheted something.
Good.
Okay. What are you going to learn this year?
I don't know, because I'm still working on crochet. So
That's
crochet
right.
is like extended for me because there's so many different options. So I want to continue to work on that and figure out new stitches and new projects.
Awesome. Okay. All right. That's what we're doing.
So that is what I will continue to do.
Yeah. Yeah, Alex, I love what you're saying. I think you're really good at, first of all, you're good at calming me down, and you've been really good for my January.
Well, I mean, that goes both ways.
Right. But it's, I think the ADHD component for me, and maybe this year things are a little different where I'm taking medication and I'm aware of the ADHD. Maybe that has been causing some things for me. One of the things we talk about, first of all, with ADHD, you have difficulty with planning and organization to start with. So there's all the executive function impairments. So I need to sit back and set some realistic goals and be okay, be gentle with myself through this time. And that's what I've not been. I don't think I've been very gentle with myself. I think I've been trying to force my way through January and these expectations that I have, and it's messing me up a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's very much learned behavior. This is the first year that you've been diagnosed in a January.
Right.
So you're used to that, starting off the year robustly and all the expectations. So you have to take a moment to realize that you function differently
I do. I really and
and
truly do. Yeah.
have some acceptance around that.
Yeah. And I think, I've been struggling with that a little bit. So February is going to be a lot more gentle on me. And also, I struggle a little bit, or people with ADHD struggle with consistency. And, I have that whole fluctuating focus, self regulation issues around ADHD. For one thing, I have not been in my office since the new year started. And the office is where I get most of my work done. I am still working from my couch. And up until last week, I really still had a tree up. So I think I was really pushing through wanting Christmas, whether I wanted it to last longer or whatever. But I still haven't been in my office. And at the moment, my table is filled with all kinds of things. It's probably got wrapping paper on it. I don't know. It's filled. And I need to get in there. I need to clear off the desk. I need to put things away. I need to get back to reality and get myself working again. So I need to start. And I think you're right with making smaller goals and setting those, just being a little bit careful with myself or a little bit more gentle with myself. But I also have to move forward. One of the ways to combat imposter syndrome is to actually listen to how awesome the people in your life think you are. If you're looking for the perfect gift for a loved one, where you can tell them all of the things that make them special, visit my Drawbridge Creative Etsy shop and purchase a Things We Love About You custom poster. With several styles to choose from, it's a fabulous gift for any milestone birthday, anniversary, retirement, or just because.
Well, something else that is an issue for a lot of people with ADHD is transitions. So making that transition from vacation, holiday mode back into work mode can be really challenging. It's the same reason why a lot of people hate showering.
Oh my God, I hate showering.
I hate it too. Look at me. I clearly haven't showered in weeks. I'm just kidding.
Weeks?
Since
Since 2025 began.
But transitions are very, very difficult. So making that transition back into work mode, which is why I do really try to work in my office because I also work from home. It reminds your brain that you're moving from downtime to work time.
Right.
So you're just moving into that space that you've dedicated to your working space. And that kind of indicates to your brain, okay, I'm now in this part of what I'm doing. But then also removing any kind of distractions from that space as well. Because also with ADHD, you're prone to, like you said, focus fluctuations, and anything that kind of comes into your space that may take you away from that, what you're trying to focus on, your brain is going to want you to interact with that. So
the couch. I am interacting with the couch. And it doesn't help that I can edit videos laying down. So sometimes I am working, but I'm laying down and I'm curled up and I'm working. I've got a big blanket. That's not the way you're supposed to be working. I'm supposed to be in my office working. Right.
I still get up and get dressed every day. I put on makeup every day. I do my hair every day. I usually actually don't wear sweats. It's very, very, very infrequently that I wear sweats, like my home clothes, into my office.
Yeah. And that's, I think, very important with people that have ADHD, to set those intentions for yourself so that you are more focused. It's work time. It's
a routine for me.
It's routine.
I get up, I go to the gym, I come home, I get breakfast and school lunches and my son out the door, and then I get ready. I get my big jug of water and my coffee, and I go into my office and I work.
Yeah.
And that just makes it easier for me because my brain's like, okay, this is what we do next. This is what we do next. This is what we do next. And I try to keep my office free of distraction. I don't always succeed. Not usually the neatest person, so there's a lot of things hanging around there. But it's definitely better if I don't have those things right at arm's length that can take me out of that flow state, to use a buzz term.
Yeah. And the other things that affect people with ADHD around this time of year is overwhelm with the large goals. And like you said, break it down into small, manageable tasks, just to make it easier for you. and impulsivity. ADHD can be associated with impulsivity, which can derail all of your intentions. Because we can very quickly say, oh no, I'm going to go do this now, right in the middle of, you're working on something, and you can be very sidetracked and do something else. And
I think too, particularly after the holidays, which are for a lot of people, very dopamine fueled. Coming out of that and coming back into the dull grayness of the regular week or world.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people too, coming out of the holidays, because it's so dopamine fueled and there's so much going on, excitement, if you like the holidays, I don't particularly, but that you have such a deficit coming back into the new year that you're looking for those dopamine hits. And that's, you're maybe doing more online shopping or you're doing more impulsive things because you're trying to reach those dopamine levels that you have kind of like fueled you through the holidays. And even November, December, there's excitement building about the holidays and the holiday events and, having a break and family and whatever it is that the holidays mean for people. Then you're trying to kind of come back from that and figure out how you're going to get that dopamine back into your system. So even recognizing that, I think, is helpful. And so when you start to reach for things or feel like you need something, thinking about why you're doing that.
Yeah.
And maybe try to
settle it down. Yeah,
or
gear it back a bit.
instead of doing more impulsive things like take a little walk or, just, if you're self-employed, walk around your house or walk around your block or, if you are in an office, go to the bathroom or the lunchroom or something. Get yourself moving in a different headspace and you come back and be able to have better concentration.
Yeah. I think bottom line, what we're trying to really get across to anybody listening out here is that January, while for many people it's all about setting goals and intentions and, set your year up for, new year, new me, whatever, that's not the way it is for most people.
And
that's
it doesn't have to be. I think that's the
right.
main thing. Like, it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
It can be whatever it is you want it to be.
Yeah.
And, probably in a lot of ways it shouldn't really be anything other than just getting back into the groove of things.
Yeah. And welcome to the new year. For us, we both deal with imposter syndrome at different things. We both have ADHD, and those are some of the problems that I'm dealing with right now. I know it, I feel it, I'm living it, and it's definitely been an issue with me for January. For somebody else, they might have totally other issues or reasons or trauma that's holding them back for this from making their goals or making their plans. But that's okay. So I think we all need to just deep breath.
That's a good point because I was talking about a lot of people have dopamine fueled holidays, but there's a lot of people who have trauma fueled holidays.
Right.
So having some grace for that too. Like my dad died on January 3rd. So the first, like New Year's Eve on for that first week of January, it's a pretty heavy time for me.
Right.
And I always have to start the year thinking about that because it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So also understanding that maybe there are some things that are happening inside of you, even subconsciously, because of memories or things that have happened during this time of year, or maybe you had high expectations for how the holidays were going to go and they didn't quite meet them because there is a ton of expectations around the holidays, and having some grace for yourself as you go back into the new year to think about those things and really feel them in your body and allow yourself to feel that way and to be okay with it because you need to process and move through things maybe a little bit slower than you had anticipated.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And that's important because if you don't do that, it's going to catch up with you some other time, maybe when it's actually fucking nice out, and then you won't be able to enjoy it.
Oh, that
so
would
just process during this
suck.
shitty time.
That's the gray days. You're meant to be lay on the couch.
It's
couch
meant
rot.
to be
right.
like a processing time. So maybe embrace that and allow yourself to feel those things and to move a bit slower, so that when things do pick up and it's nice, and you'll kind of have moved through that and can enjoy the best time of the year in this province.
Yes, the good weather is coming. The happy days are coming. And just lay back, rest. We're tired. The word of the year.
I thought you said retired.
No,
I wish retired was
we
the word of my
we
year.
were retired, but we're just tired. Yeah. So the word of the year is tired. There we go.
Or it isn't one.
Or it isn't.
It's just a year.
It's just a year.
I think the name of the game is whatever works for you. If you are someone that likes to plan out your entire year and that makes you feel good and in control, then you should 100% do that. If you're someone that struggles with transitions and finds it overwhelming to start off the year in that manner, then take it a little slower. If you're someone who, like me, and doesn't really know either way, then, I think you just need to kind of let yourself lead rather than let society and other pressures lead. I think you just need to trust your gut.
You be you, you do you.
Lack of a better term. But you know those feelings in your body when you're pushing against something. And it's probably best to not ignore them.
Yeah. So we are back, 2025. We do have some goals for work, a few. We've got some goals for the podcast. Basically just that we're working, we're here, we're doing it.
Yeah, we're going to keep going. We have, we'll probably wrap in June. So lots more interviews and episodes to do. I think we had said that we would try to do a little bit more one-on-one with us for the remainder of this season. A lot of people had indicated that they really like those episodes. So you'll probably see a few more of those. And yeah, we are still recruiting guests too. So if you'd like to hop on and chat with us about your struggles with self-doubt or confidence or feeling like a fraud, we'd love to chat with you.
Yeah. All right. It's been a great time chit-chatting about ADHD and imposter syndrome and setting New Year's resolutions. I didn't do any of it.
Well, I don't think you're alone. I didn't either.
That's right. And now I'm happy about it because I was feeling like I was forcing it. And it was so funny. Alex comes up with all of these wonderful notes for today's episode about imposter syndrome and ADHD and stuff. And really, I just used the time as we're going through all of the various issues to say, yes, I'm doing that. Yes, that's my problem. Yes, that's what's happening with me. So it was a wonderful therapy session for me.
Well, I'm glad. I hope other people benefit from too. I always love reading through these things too, because it's reassuring when you're feeling certain things, and it's nice to know that there are other people that also struggle with similar hesitations or blocks, and understanding that it's okay for one, and then having a few things that you can easily kind of put into place to work around them is also really nice too. So.
For sure. We're here for you. We're your hype girls. We're here to let you know you're not alone.
That's right. We're a little less hypey.
A little less hypey in January.
Catch us in June.
Right. We are your emo girls here to tell you.
We are wearing black.
We are. We always wear black. Here to tell you that we will get through 2025. January is officially over.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Imposter Sisters. Please remember, we're not doctors or mental health experts. If you're looking for mental health guidance, please see our show notes for local resources. Until next time, keep your head high, and we will see you next Tuesday.